All right, it says I'm live, but it lies. So give me a second while I check and make sure. Do. 2 minutes, 5 seconds. There we go. All right, good. We are actually live now. And Ozzy started off the stream with a pretty good one. Stream and a warning have been shared. Where's the lie, though? Right? Where is the lie? Actually, even if it wasn't true, it would have tickled me. So we're going to go with it. All right, welcome to 31 May 2027. Oh yeah, F-bombs are armed and they will be dropped. The first purpose of the Second Amendment was to enable the people to meet unlawful force with like force. I'll bring that back up in a second. One of these days I'm going to be like a professional and shit and know what I'm doing. But until then, I'm just kind of making it up as I go along. Because fuck you, that's why. Okay, that sucks. And let's make sure that it's good. All right. First purpose of the Second Amendment was to enable the people to meet unlawful force with like force. 99% of the time, that unlawful force will be common thugs. 1%, 0.9% of the time, that unlawful force will be terrorists. And 0.1% of the time, it will be the state. Now, I'm breaking it down like this because I'm most recently, like 2 weeks ago, was absolutely libeled by a little jackass saying, well, from what I gather from your page, you're worried about a tyrannical government. I'm not worried about a tyrannical government. I've never said that. The 4 major incidents that I'm aware of, those were decades ago. No, I'm not talking about the American Civil War. I am talking about the Battle of Blair Mountain, which is where the Army, the United States Army, brought in a bomber. I'm not even fucking joking, people. A World War I era bomber. And bombed a bunch of labor protesters. Now, the labor protesters had machine guns. Let's not sit here and lie to each other. But a bomber? The Army was involved at all? Wow. Wow. The next major incident that I'm aware of was the bonus marchers between World War I and World War II. This was shit. Squatch, you've been following me long enough. You should know. By the way, hello, Warsaw Patriot. And Logical Spot. Hey, Josh. And I said hello to Ozzy to open it up because that was pretty good. I loved it. All right, moving right along. Whoops. This is important for later. But I believe that it was 1935 when World War I soldiers were demanding their bonus, their enlistment bonuses, and they weren't getting it. Now, historians will tell you they weren't due the bonuses. Yeah, actually they were. They were overdue. Congress was stalling using manipulations of the exact wording. And amidst a economic implosion, I would probably be willing to say, you know what, fuck you, give me half, I'll walk. I'll walk right now. And yeah, by the way, Squatch, yeah, that was too much information. Oh shit, I forgot. This is important. Ha. All right. So, Hoover told General MacArthur, as in I shall return MacArthur, that he wanted these bonus marchers out of here. Well, about a third of them didn't make it out anyway. He went down there with machine guns and flamethrowers, and if I recall correctly, a tank, and got them out. Okay. I guess Warsaw Patriot has not been around so long. No. The first purpose was to enable the people to meet unlawful force with like force. Now I'm talking about specific incidents where exceptions to the rules have happened, but they are exceptions to the general rule. And I should probably not belabor these points so much as I have. So I'm going to skip through the next couple. Next one was the Battle of Athens, when a corrupt, very, very openly corrupt sheriff stole ballots to keep his buddies in power. What was the last one? No, actually, to the best of my knowledge, that was the last specifically unlawful force. Now, there have been incidents since then where you definitely questions should be asked. And for those of you not keeping score, or that have been keeping score in the past, as much as I say, yeah, Waco was suicide, there was still a whole lot about what happened there that certain people deserve to burn in hell. And I am talking about Janet Reno specifically. Oops. Yeah, Carrie says Janet Reno belongs in hell, right next to David Koresh. The two of them should be chained together for the rest of eternity. Just because David Koresh was the bad guy of the story doesn't make Janet Reno the good guy. All right. 99% of the time, that unlawful force will still be a common thug, a mugger, or carjacker. Mama Carrie got carjacked. First carjacking in Shasta County. Kind of a precedent. Whatever, liquor store robber, stick-up guy, whatever you want to call him. That will be 99% of that unlawful force. Now, in the 1780s, when the Second Amendment and the rest of it was being written, they had different kinds of concerns, right? Now, I'm talking about Indian and wildman raids. Most of you don't realize this, but the last big Indian raid on the 13 original colonies happened during the American Revolution. It was adjacent to the Revolution. It was British Allied Indians who raided the village of Cherry Valley, New York. I believe it was Cherry Valley, New York. Killed a bunch of people, took a whole lot more hostage, and they would later write a letter saying, hey, you know what, you did this because you were bad and you were naughty, and we had to do this. You broke your word. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not. It would require a degree of digging into the case that I'm not capable of. at the moment. But that was an actual Indian raid. Wild men were whites who'd run off into the frontier, off into the wildlands, to live like the Indians. That's an actual quote from the time. And would return once in a while to raid a distant farm or something. Burn the place to the well, usually they wouldn't burn the place to the ground. They would just kill the men, rape the women, and then move on. And take everything that wasn't nailed down. These people actually did need to have the means to defend themselves. The British Army that had supposedly been protecting them until the start of the Revolution had been all the way back in Europe fighting France. During the French and Indian Wars, it was the colonials themselves who had to form militias to defend their farms, their villages, etc. That's where George Washington got his start, forming a militia, Virginia militia. Washington's militia, excuse me, to defend Washington, the Virginia colony. I'm not sure who Horseface is, Ozzy. And something just... Here we go. In case anybody... Well, I care. I'm not sure anybody else does, and that's their problem. Hi, Macy, by the way. All right, moving right along. 99% of that unlawful force will still be common criminals. 1% will be the government, and it happens. It has happened in the past. It will happen again in the future. And about 0.9 will be terrorists. Now, when I say terrorists, I mean not just ISIS or Hezbollah. Oh, Carrie's bringing out the shit. Or neo-Taliban, because the Taliban of today is not the Taliban of the 90s. The Taliban of today is absolutely just a criminal gang. That's it. They are in no way a legitimate government or entity. They are just a criminal gang. The Taliban of the 90s was not exactly the most forthright and honest government, but at least they were recognized. All right, they had that going for them. I want to emphasize this. 99% of that unlawful force will be common criminals. The kind of people that the sheriff of Nottingham would have hung and been right to do so. Okay. Okay, Ozzy, I'm still not sure who Horseface is. Because you said Killary, you said Free Willy. The other person I can think of is David Koresh. So, you lost me there, bud. Oh, I'm sorry. He's right. Janet Reno. Now, every president has had private conversations with their attorney general and their private counsel and other advisors. That has been a fact of the universe. I have private conversations with Papa Kerry. I've had private conversations with Ozzy. I had a couple of private conversations with the Macy. The only person I've seen here so far today that I've never had a private conversation with is Warsaw Patriot. I've never spoken to him privately. I'm trying to think. I might not have had a private conversation with Total Control 871, which you guys don't see him around very much anymore because he's off fighting a different war. Yeah, I think Totes is about the end of it. Of people I've ever actually seen here, other than a few occasional trolls. And even some of them. Speaking of which, how are you, Daniel? Are you tuning in today? Are you still what I call myself? Can't say that word on Facebook. Or I'm sorry, YouTube. Ozzy, I gotta let you in on a secret. Janet Reno was a lesbian. Okay, so that's the first purpose of the Second Amendment, to meet unlawful force with like force. There is a infinitesimal possibility that unlawful force will be exercised by the state. That can happen 99% of the time. Just criminals. Oh, I do wish he was here because I know New York Outcast actually has forgotten more about the subject of the Tops shooter than I think I've ever learned. And I do wish he was in the chat. He could maybe fill in some of my blanks. I would have that would have been very helpful. It is what it is. Moving on. All right. I've stalled long enough. I got to do this. Hey, Bernie. One of the mandatory exemptions is for mental incompetence. Sometimes mental incompetence cannot necessarily be tested on paper or by a specific quotient. I have learned that one of my kids is he's not all here. I sent some packages to my kids, some everyday carry gear, a packet that included a light and a multi-tool and a pocket knife, one of those assisted opener pocket knives. It became all the rage in the 90s. He can't have it. He can do all of the regular school-related activities. He can clothe himself. He can feed himself. He can bathe himself. But he's not competent. And it kills me to be saying this right now. Because I love the little bastard. But based on what I heard, I would I would have to tell the judge, no. My son is exempt from mandatory carry because he just can't handle it. He does not have the prudence and judgment and clear thinking to be able to do this, Your Honor. Sometimes your family is going to have to step in and say, for the love of God, no. This would be one of those contested exemptions, because if an exemption brought by a third party that's uncontested should be a red flag to any competent judge. The moment that it's uncontested, either they're in no condition to contest it at all, in which case the judge will see that for themselves, or the judge is being scammed. And that's also a bad thing. Sometimes your family's just going to have to step in and say, for the love of God, Your Honor, no. My son, my brother, my whatever, my foster child, for the love of God, please exempt them before they do hurt somebody or themselves. There may or may not be alcohol in this bottle. Oh, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Damn, that hit hard. All right. Because he was the last to comment, I'm going to pick on Bernie here. Whew. Bernie may have to step into a courtroom and say, Your Honor, my son is clearly not capable of forming good judgment. So please exempt him. It is what it is. All right. Enough of that. I do actually want to change the subject now. Today's stream is actually going to be a little bit on the short side because I went a little bit long on a couple previous streams. Oh, good. I'm about to see something. Well, I'm glad for that, Ozzy. Ozzy here brought up the subject. I think it was this morning, Ozzy. Maybe it was yesterday. Excuse me, on Discord. First aid kits. I'm going to switch around. I'm going to stop screen. All right. And then we'll go. Okay. So it was yesterday. I'm okay with my mistake. This is not actually an IFAC. It is a top open bag with first aid gear in it. Now, all I really have in here is some bandages and some tape. No dressing. I don't even have dressing in here, but here in the back, I have a couple of cat tourniquets. Had a pair of scissors until it fell out. But there's something very unusual. Oh, I have rubber gloves as well. I don't have my breathing or Yeah, breathing mask yet. I need to get around to ordering that. I had something very unusual in my first aid kit. What, ladies and gentlemen, is this? Anybody in the chat? I'm going to be very curious to see what kind of joke answers I get. Present. Share screen. A tasty beverage. No, Sam. No, that is not. No, it is not. Floor polish. Could be used for that, though. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, Listerine was originally developed just after the American... Ooh, it would help if I... You know what? It would help if I made this... Damn. You know, one of these days I will become a professional. Let's try this. No. Shit. Which is the one I'm trying for? Okay. Listerine was originally developed just after the American Civil War to treat infection. Dr. Lister came up with this concoction, this compound, if I understand correctly, in a powder form to spread onto injuries to treat them for infection before they became gangrenous. Somebody, somewhere, figured out that if you put it into a liquid form, you could use it as a mouthwash. Well, it makes perfect sense. It kills germs. Oh, boy. Let's get this back. Okay. So, and I learned about this years ago from Papa Carey. This was actually before I became mandatory carry. I long since had given up on the idea of gun control, but I did. Well, Papa Carey was telling me that, oh yeah, Dr. Lister developed it as a treatment for injuries during the Civil War. I don't think he actually said Civil War. He did say Dr. Lister because it connected in my mind Lister, Dr. Lister, Listerine. Okay, there's a connection there. I put it in the back burner of my brain for probably a decade. And then while I was in Colorado, the subject came up again. Alternative uses for Listerine. Now, this is the new version. The old version was much more powerful. Ozzy. No, bro. No. Ozzy's got the jokes today. They figured out that you could use it as a mouthwash as well, and boy, it really works. The old formula worked much better, but for those of you like Ozzy, and I think, well, yeah, Samuel, Macy, Squatch, yeah, actually, everybody who's in the chat right now, that except for Warsaw Patriot, I know would be old enough to remember the old formula, and oh my God. Am I lying, guys? Am I lying when I say, oh my God? No, Ozzy, no. Floor polish was not the first thing they tried this for. They developed it to treat injuries on the battlefield, specifically battlefield injuries. If I understand the story correctly, and I may not, Dr. Lister actually served in the war, and that's what propelled him to even try to develop something to no, that's not the first commercial use. The first commercial use was to treat injuries. I swear, guys, I'm not making this shit up. I'm not that clever. I wish I were. It was marketed to doctors. They may have tried to use it as a floor polish. That was an experiment that didn't go very far, obviously. But they were developing this. Bernie says, back then, nobody brushed their teeth. Actually, toothbrushes have been around a bit longer than that, but only by about 75-ish years. Remember, they all came from the land of the bad teeth, England. And in another irony, thank you, Burnaby, the first toothbrush was developed in pauper's prison in Britain. It's how the guy got himself out. He owed a whole lot of people a whole lot of money and came up with a way of brushing teeth. Samuel the Infamous said they needed a disinfectant the soldiers wouldn't get wasted on. The problem with that is that even alcohol wasn't working in that regard. They tried alcohol. It wasn't working the way they wanted it to. And to be perfectly blunt, its only real value was to get the guys drunk so they wouldn't feel anything as their legs got cut off or arms. Age of persuasion. Okay, wait, hold up. Ozzy has mentioned this age of persuasion thing a couple times, so I'm going to back up the chat a little bit. The idea of the first commercial purpose being floor polish, no. I know he said it somewhere else. Okay, well, maybe he didn't, and I just saw it twice. I want to point this out. Plenty of desperate people on the street drink this stuff. I never saw that when I was homeless. That's the truth. I'm not saying that that's not possibly a thing. This is not for drinking. Please, for God's sakes, don't drink Listerine. It will kill you. How you could drink it is beyond me. Doesn't the warning label say? Oh, I don't have my bifocals. Other information, active ingredients, warning. Keep out of reach of children and divorce. Used for rinsing is accidentally swallowed. That doesn't actually say. Oh, okay. Active ingredients. Eucalyptus, 0.092%. How do you swallow it? Seriously, how do you swallow this? I don't know. Menthol 0.042 myth, methyl salicylate 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 0.06 thymol. I know that name, thymol. 0.064. I would not recommend putting any of these in your body under any circumstances. It's one thing to put it in your mouth or on your skin, but seriously, yeah, don't swallow this. For God's sakes, don't swallow this. And if you can get it past your throat, well, I'm impressed. I am. Glug glug glug. He's not lying, guys. He's not lying. I do not know what that is, Sam. Listerine tastes a lot like watered down akvavit. Akvavit? Is that Russian? My guess it's some commie thing. So anyway, this is a TSA approved travel size, which should be more than enough for whatever you need it for, or at least enough to get home. I also have a 2-liter. I have 3 2-liter bottles of Listerine lying around the house. I just only have one open at the moment. The other 2 are... Where the hell did I put them? They would be somewhere in the head. No, they're in the... Okay, they're in the garage. That's right. Took them out of the car, put them up on the shelf, and kind of ignored them for a while. Okay. And Ozzy says, think homeless people. I never saw that when I was homeless. I can't say it's not happening. I won't say it's not happening because a tiny little piece of me knows that something's going on with that statement. It was a theme in an episode of Law and Order. Law and Order Criminal Intent. Anyway, small bottle of Listerine. Put it in your first aid kit. You'll thank me later. If you don't use it, you'll still thank me later. All right? It's, oh shit. It's, this is 3.2 fluid ounces. How much does this weigh? Anyway, it's too light to actually hold on to. You saw me drop it. I don't know how much this weighs, but it's light enough that I dropped it because it wasn't heavy enough. Believe me, you won't notice. In that article about alternative uses for Listerine, this is one of the few specific products, yes, I will talk about. They also say that it can be used not in lieu of a deodorant, but as a, it kills germs. So to kill the same germs that give you body odor, that give you bad breath, that rot your teeth, that give you gangrene if you can put it on in time. So, you're at work and you've had a bad day. Grab your bottle out of your first aid kit, run to the head, grab a paper towel, put a little onto the paper towel, wipe it under your pits. You should be feeling a whole lot better. or at least not smelling worse. Ooh. Okay, Ozzy, that's a measure of the contents, not the weight. It's only a couple of ounces. You won't notice. I swear you won't notice. Also in this pack, believe it or not, I don't have any gauze. A couple of years ago when I talked about first aid kits the first time, yeah. Well, there's gauze deeper in the back. Okay, there's gauze deeper in the back. There's also some bandage tape. This is that self-adhering, or adheres to itself, I guess I should say, type. That won't stick to you, but it will normally. Stick to itself. I swear it was sticking to itself for a second, guys. You gotta believe me here. It's a little bit on the stretchy side too, which is probably part of the problem. Some ace wraps, rubber gloves. I have got to add a CPR mask to this kit and swap out a couple of these ace wraps for gauze. I've got to get around to that. This has been waiting like 3 years now. I think it's been at least 2 years. Squatch, how long have I had this bag? I think you would know better than everybody else. But I'd say about 2 years. I've got to get around to that. This little pack hangs off the big pack. I can also take this back. All right, good night, Sam. Be careful at work. I can take this off and put it in my car, which is probably a really good idea. I should do that. Then I'd remember it. Actually, I could drop it in my work bag. That's not a bad idea either. For those of you that have been around long enough to remember this big red bag started out as a tiny, medium size, 3-day. The original bag is sitting right over there. One of those 3-day, one-man bags, or 3-man, one-day bags. But then the straps ripped out and a couple other problems happened. And you know what? I guess got to replace it. We love you, Susan, you cunt. All right. Get and have and know how to use first aid kit. All of this gear, it's all nice. But if I don't know how to use any of it, it's just a bunch of paperweights and not very good ones at that. Fortunately, I do have a first aid card. I do know how to use all of this gear and then quite a bit more that I don't talk about generally because I don't have that license anymore. May not that. I used to have a first responder card. That was 30 years ago, and that may not even exist anymore. I've been told a couple different things. But it qualified you to ride on an ambulance as the paramedic's assistant. I wouldn't know Aussie. They're shipping them all over the place. How I built my first aid kit is I just bought Actually, I got that original red bag. It came with this. All right. So we're gonna have to play with the. Oops. Nope. Came with this. All right. Now this is actually sealed shut, so that tells me there's something in here I don't want to get into unless I have to. And I went by Sportsman's Warehouse and I picked up this hard case and I just started putting the pieces together. There we go. I just started putting the pieces together. I have every intention eventually of ordering a $150 first aid kit to finish this all out because it does come with the CPR masks. But yeah, I just kept putting more and more kits together. My first Every Second Matters post. Everybody else, they do a gun, right? I'd ordered them from several different, obtained them several different places. Everybody else, they do a gun. Wait, Every Second Matters. That kind of had a double meaning because a second is also a period of time. Even when you've done everything else perfect, which doesn't happen in the real world, by the way. When the shooting stops, there's still people bleeding, and you need to deal with that too. And it might be you that's bleeding. It might be the suspect. You can't just let him bleed out for spite. I know. It is so tempting to just, fuck that guy. Let him die, right? You can't do it. All right. You don't have to put yourself at unnecessary risk. So if he's still got the gun and you can't get the gun away from him, you know what? It wasn't safe for me to get that close to him. Okay. Great. Good. With the grace of God, go and don't start sinning now. Right. But if you at all can, yes, even the suspect has to be treated. I understand priorities. Your suspect is not a first priority. All right. His victims are you are your first priority. His victims are your second priority. Us, ours, you, yours. And last and least, if the circumstances allow, go ahead and treat your suspect. Yeah, and you'll notice I said, by the way, if circumstances allow. All right. If he's already dead, what? You're not God. You're not a necromancer. You're not you're not Jesus fucking Christ. All right? Don't worry about it. He's not your first priority. Okay. Places to get them. Well, go into any Walmart. Go to emergency supplies. There's all these red backpacks. Yeah. Same people that sell those backpacks sell first aid kits and a bunch of other things related to that. Bernie says Amazon. Ozzy's suggesting that maybe you go to a military surplus store. The ones I've been to, the first aids, and I was at a military surplus store. Oh, wow, geez. 2 weeks ago? I think it was 2 weeks ago. For those of you that follow the Facebook page, which would be Logical Spock, I know he's been there. You'll know that, yeah, Carrie, there was a live sighting of Carrie in public in Sacramento. For those of you that follow Pod Home, you'll know there was a live sighting of Carrie in downtown Sacramento. But that may not necessarily have been a good thing for somebody. All right. Put your first aid kit together the way you think best. Now, there's two tourniquets in this kit. Not because I think I need two tourniquets. There's two tourniquets in this kit because it came in 2-pack. All right. Maybe I should like split this in half, put half in my car and half here. It's not a bad idea. Put it together the way you think is best. That's all I can tell you. Knock down a power line. Do not try to get to the crash victim. Okay, Ozzy's pointing out scene safety, which if they didn't drill that into you in first aid class, first of all, they're fucking stupid. And second of all, when we did the scene safety class in first responder and Coast Guard first aid training, they used an actual film footage from, I think, the 1970s. Firefighters, the building's on fire, and the firefighters are crawling all over ladders and everything else. Paramedics just casually climbing up the ladder. This big-ass explosion, the firefighters are like, holy shit, that was huge. The firefighters just casually pushing electrical lines out of his way. Not even registering there's explosions, and he's moving live electrical lines to get to his victim. Okay. Don't be that guy. All right. Scene safety. You don't need to make it two victims for everybody else to deal with. Macy is not recommending the military surplus store in his town, apparently. Because location. Tucson. Well, that's about an hour and a half from Flagstaff and Phoenix, right? Not idly asking. We love you, Susan. You cunt. Put your kit together the way you think it's best. But have a first aid kit. All right? It's every second matters. And it's not just every Second Amendment. It's every fucking tick-tock of the second. No, Ozzy, please not right now. Ozzy, please not right now. Matter of fact, I'll get with you on Discord just after the stream and I take a shit. Okay? I promise. We might go into that. 2 hours from Phoenix. Okay. A former shipmate of mine lives just outside of Phoenix. So I've been half wanting to go see her for 10 years now. Okay. Every second matters to me means literally every second. There's a meme out there, branches of the military as farm animals, and in it says, Coast Guard are ducks. Overly aggressive. Nobody knows what they're doing here, but whatever. First of all, don't fuck with the ducks. We will bite you. We will actually fucking bite you. Like, get into a fight with us. We will we will bite you. It's not just we'll claw at your eyes and coronial strike your neck. You get your fingers anywhere near our mouths, we'll bite it, and we'll bite your arms. We're a little bit, you know. For those of you that follow Ghost Tactical, he's not wrong. I'm a little bit weird. I'm a ghosty. I'm a little bit weird. But more importantly, the reason that we are overly aggressive is we're never wrong. It's true. We're never wrong. We may have to let a suspect go. We may have to let a boat burn to the water line or beyond. We may have to do a lot of stupid shit that we don't really want to do. But at the end of the day, we're always right. We got the victims off the boat. We got the drugs. We got whatever it is that we really had to do. Everything else, fuck it. Let the smuggler boat sink. Like I give a shit. Let the wreck boat sink. You know what? I don't care. Yeah, you had insurance, I hope. I don't care. I hope you had insurance. Oh, whatever it is, we got the bare minimum stuff. That is always going to happen. If it's a situation so bad where we can't at least rescue the victims and get people off of boats that are sinking, it was already at the point where we couldn't help anyway. I've seen helicopters take off. I have actually witnessed a helicopter take off in the middle of a storm when I was at the PSU because of a boat taking on water 20 miles off the coast. This was not conditions for a helicopter to take off. They took off. They really, really shouldn't have flown in that weather, but we're coasties, we do it. I've seen 25-foot open boats take on 15-foot seas. Totally outrated. We should not have been in those waters. We were there. I've seen boats get underway with half of their engines torn apart. I did that. Charlie don't sail, the fuck we don't. I actually have a accommodation. I think it's a letter of accommodation in my on my DD-214. Got underway search and rescue for Hog Island. Not much we could do out there, but we went. We're always right. When all else is said and done, we always did it right, or we did the absolute. What else was left we could do? Bare minimum. Couldn't save the boat. We couldn't save the ship. Let her sink. Just let her sink. Don't worry about that. I'll let the environmental people deal with that. At the end of the day, it's their problem. Let them earn their pay. Bring people in, and we can sort the rest of the mess out later. Speaking of situations where there was nothing we could do before. 18-year-old kid jumped off the Sunset cruise boat. Yeah, I think that's cruise ship Sunset Cruise. Yeah, no, maybe it is a Sunset Cruise boat. Coast Guard and Royal Navy called off after 48 hours. We never did find him. He was probably dead before we even got the call. As for finding his body, I mean, there's times when before we even knew there was a problem, there's nothing left we could do. And I've been on that call too. That sucked. We love you, Susan. All right. I'm going to give about 5 minutes for some questions. Like, what should I have in my first aid kit? Well, bandages and gauze. And you don't have to have scissors. It just doesn't hurt any. If you're doing a proper everyday carry kit, you should have a knife on you. On the other hand, scissors work on bandages a lot better. Huh. Apparently the Sunset Cruise was an old pirate boat, shaped like an old pirate boat. All ships and boats at some level are the same. There's a pointy end and there's a roundy end, as Papa Carey says, just to piss off his bosun mate's son. So you just paint it black and you put some fake masts and some fake sails made out of canvas. And she looks like a pirate ship. It really is that simple. And pitch black in the ocean is not a... I don't know how to say this politely, so fuck you. Don't paint your ship black. Don't be stupid. You want to actually be seen in the event of an emergency. Macy asks, how many years was I in the Coast Guard? I was 14. Only 2 years and 6 months of active duty cumulative. 2 years at Acacia and 6 months at one of the small boat stations. No, 9 months small boat station in 2003. Don't paint your boat black. God damn it. Now I got something I got to tell Papa Carey. Don't paint your boat black, Dad. Where did this come from? Some jackass painted his pirate boat black in the Caribbean. Thank you, Macy. Jesus fucking Christ. Paint a boat black. You don't have to paint it red like a polar roller. Okay? For God's sakes, don't paint it the hardest color to see. By the way, I can say that because I was on a black hull buoy tender, which are literally painted black to hide damage from working buoys. I'm not joking. They paint buoy tenders black so that all of the bumps and bruises that they get over their lifetime are easier to hide. They also paint the superstructure white because a black ship is hard to see it under the best of circumstances. On a related note, do not jump off a moving boat under the best of circumstances. You should only jump off of a vessel at sea, out, not tied to the pier. If she is on fire or sinking. the safest place in the universe, even if she is on fire, might still be on board. But the safest place in the universe, if she's not on fire or sinking, is on board. And even if she is sinking or on fire, or both at the same time, you might be safer on board than you are in the ocean, because remember, we cannot guarantee our chances of finding you. Huh. Well, that's an interesting question. What is the name of the reddish color on Coast Guard ships? It is international orange. It's not actually a red. And it was selected because it is extremely, obscenely, obnoxiously visible. They say that nominal human sight at sea is about 10 miles. Well, you may not be able to see the ship, but you will still see that red spot up to 20 miles away, and you will know there's a polar roller out there somewhere. I can't see her, but I can see the red out there. You think I'm joking? I know people have done it. The one icebreaker that I dealt with was the Mackinac, and well, she was well within 10 miles when she came around a bend, which is when she would have been. Before that, she was behind the bend, so we couldn't have seen her. We were also supposed to meet at about that time at about that place. So, yearly toe-be-toe drill, towing drills that we did with them. That was an interesting question. Thank you, Ozzy. That color is obscenely visible. There's something about the way light and thermals, thermal movement works, that red color will actually bend slightly around the curve of the Earth. Now, all objects do that, right? But because it's that obnoxious red, when it makes that bend, you can still, what that was. You know what that red is. Oh, we love you, Susan, you cunt. All right. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here, guys, because I'm actually I think I have about 15 minutes left with this month. It is the 31st, so I start a new month next month. Next week, there will not be a stream. I have a special mission that'll be a mandatory carry type mission for those of you that can put 2 and 2 together. That will have me out of town. I hope to have an upload by Wednesday for everybody to see. On this special mission, I will be going a couple places and hopefully interviewing a couple people. Very interesting people. I don't want to say who because I don't want to get met at the door by somebody that does not like me. The last time I did that, I got warned if I did it again, it would be manslaughter if I did it, if I invited, or murder one if I invited them, manslaughter if I just sort of accidentally let the whole world know. So we're going to wrap it up there. Get or put together a first aid kit. Try to connect with a professional in the field and get their opinion on what it should be. Always, Carrie, remember the first purpose of the Second Amendment was to enable the people to meet unlawful force with like force and keep calm and mandatory carry on.